Hello there, welcome to the stream. Today we're going to take a look at the Flight Factor Airbus A350 here in XPlane 12. Aircraft came out, I don't want to put an exact time on it, but in XPlane 11 days. I want to say a couple of years ago. Of course, it was updated to the XPlane 12. Can't remember if there was a little fee for that or not. And yeah, I tried it once on XPlane 12 and it would randomly crash. Then they updated it. Things were improved. They updated it again. And that was before Christmas and they basically broke it. All the dials didn't work. Now, apparently it's been updated yet again. And so this is a brand new beta. And apparently the issue with the dials has been fixed. That was the only thing I cared about in the changelog, has been unable to press any of the dials was kind of a bit of a problem. I mean, let's see if that's been resolved then. So coming over now into XPlane 12, there we see it. I'll bring the audio up there as well. Here we have it, the Flight Factor there, the A350. Now it's a nice looking Airbus, carbon, you know, the ultra sort of long range, twin-engined, wide body, you know, kind of like the Dreamliner. Can we actually drive the camera through? Well, there we go, we can. So this is a much quicker way of moving through the cabin rather than walking. You see, it's kind of posh there with the bar coming through. So wide body, aka it's got 2 corridors inside instead of 1. Well, what's the layout there? 3B3B3 it would seem. And then a massive galley at back. Okie doke, so this is what it looks like inside the cockpit. Proper glass cockpit style. A massive MCP control panel there at the top. One of the biggest looking autopilot things I've seen. This aircraft, by the way, for those used to the A320, that sort of family of aircraft, even the A340, this is a little bit more of an unusual kind of way to get it going. A little bit more just not at all the same as the other Airbuses. It stands apart in its bizarreness, let's say. I'm by no means an expert on this one, although I do know how to get it going. And 80 to 90%, I think. And, you know, the little bits that I don't, we'll just gloss over. All right, so the flight plan for today, we're going to be doing that. And this time, we don't got to plan it out in the old style way. We're just going to plan it real quick here in SimBrief. So I'm going to jump on over. And we're actually starting at St. Martin here, TNCM. You know, the famous one where they're coming in low over the runways. And I'm thinking of going somewhere like Puerto Rico. So if I bring Navigraph on the screen here for us to see, let's unload this old flight that is no longer appropriate. I've got Navigraph. So here we go here, St. Martin, down in the sort of near-ish. So what would you call this? The sort of Bermuda Triangle area, pretty much, right? And so I'm thinking, yeah, coming over here towards the west, Puerto Rico. Eventually that turns into Cuba, Jamaica kind of area. But somewhere like this. I don't want the flight to drag on, but I do want it to sort of be out, get up to speed, get up to cruise, and then drop back down. How about Santiago? Santiago International, how's that? Code Mike Delta Sierra Tango. I'm just going to select it and check everything here is okay. 8,500 feet on the runway. That certainly is. We've got stars and approaches. Okay, that'll do. Mike Delta Sierra Tango it is for the destination then. And you'll see how quick. Mike Delta Sierra Tango. Bang. 434 nautical miles. Perhaps that is a hair further than I'd want. Let's take a look. Something over here. Let's go for this one. It's certainly big enough. What we got here? Mike Delta Papa Charlie. And that one I'm definitely going to take. I don't care how. It's going to be a bit short. Mike Delta Papa Charlie. There we go. All right, so here using Sim Toolkit Pro, We can see there 301 nautical miles. That's perfect. Just over an hour. Call sign, I'm going to leave. Let's just put a number in. 515. 515. And we'll generate the plan. We'll leave everything else on automatic. Boom. This is going to take place real nice and quick, thankfully. And as it does its thing, as I... what's the problem? Map's temporarily disabled. Okay, because it's very busy, I guess, online. So coming back now into... But yeah, by the way, in case you didn't see it there, there's the flight plan. So we're starting on the right side of the screen. We'll be winding up in the left side of the screen. I'm going to hit fly now, just so the system knows to expect us. And indeed, it is ready, it would seem. Alright then, so XPlane 12. Let's just check we've got this loaded in. Charts up and charts again. Looking for TNCM. Here it is. This is the one, 15th of Jan 23. So that's loaded in nice and automatic for us. And yeah, there we go. Ground distance 301. Air distance. No, sorry, 360. Air distance 401. So a slight headwind. We'll take another look at that as we start to set up. So let's have a look then. Let's get this thing wired up. So yeah, I do prefer to have my tablet on these aircraft wired in on the left hand side, you know, plugged into the either off the side of the screen here or attached here somehow. So it's a shame that you can't have that. And so with that in mind, I've the key that I usually turn to face there, instead I've just made it appear like that. So coming up top then, do you know what as well I'm going to do, seeing as it's for you, for a treat, Sim Toolkit Pro, the overlays, there we go. So that's hooked in. And yeah, time zones, I'm of course filming this live, so let's do a quick overlay. So there we are, me in the middle there, UK, Zulu time, GMT, all the same thing by the way when we're not in summertime. And there you see the various times, so that's at the time of me doing this right now, which also is going to fit in with the flight plan, because if we take a look here, we're due to push back at 16:47, so we see that's in about 25 minutes, and then take off about 20 minutes after that. Well, whether we push back at 16:47 or not, takeoff is going to be about 5 minutes later, not 20. Again, we're at St. Martin. It's a very short, it's a small airport and a short taxi here at PJ International. Right on then, let's see if we can start this thing up. And just forgive 1 second, it sounds like my microphone. Oh, let me get there. There we go, that's a little bit better. It's sometimes a little bit dicky, sometimes it sounds perfect, and sometimes it's a little bit on the way out. Ideally, I would replace it, but of course that costs money, and I ain't got none. Yeah. Spent it all on the A350. Yeah, we'll make that work. I'll just try not to shout. Okie doke. Yeah, the thing is, I sometimes get a bit animated. Alright, where I'm looking for my battery switch. I gotta say, for an aircraft that's cold and dark, this one actually does look cold and dark. There's some aircraft that say cold and dark, and you look around and it's like the developers have forgotten things here and there. Granted, if they've got the external power, you get that light on whether it's cold and dark or not, and obviously that is how it is, so that's fine. But for everything else, so let's hide the time zones for now, and let's make ourselves a start. So looking for battery. Here we go, battery. No cover switches, interestingly, on this one, and that's dinging on. Interestingly, the external volume sounds much louder than the aircraft dings. Actually, the aircraft sounds there extremely low versus the just ambient sound. Even if I do away with the music. In fact, now we've got battery power, we do got a little bit of lighting. I'm going to see here the general volume. Oh, it's one of them I need to set. So I like to be able to click on the screen, not click on the screen to open another one. So let's just See what we got here. Time flow. Real. Difficulty. Real. Structural limits. Real. That doesn't matter. ILS auto align. No. Again, the transal, it's going to vary. So whether default's 5 or not. Flushing minimum. Auto pause off. I don't like that. MFD. So that's the one, I think. Touch screen. Okay. There we go. Now we can literally click on the existing one. That's what I like. Mouse wheel is to manipulate. Yes. Yes. Screen glow. Let's see if that works. It's a very minor thing, but I think it looks slightly better with it on. So yes. And auto pause disarmed. Everything there looks good. And sim brief, I will keep that as is. I don't want to really type that in on screen, but that's fine. Okay, let's save that and we'll roll with this. Ground service. Doors, I'm going to open all. Being Flight Factor, you know, they're a bit finicky. If you don't open stuff, it don't let you load stuff, which is kind of what you'd expect, but most modules don't care whether you've got doors open or not. Ground equipment. So this one, as with most big aircraft, has 2, if some even have 3 power inlets when you're on the ground, but this one's got 2, so we'll attach those. We'll get the stairs, the chocks, the bus, the fuel, the luggage. Aircon will leave. The ULD train, I believe that's the thing that gets the crap out the back. I'm not sure. Cleaning truck, you know, self-explanatory. And we'll not click at gate. I guess we are at gate, but we'll leave it like that. Yeah, we're pretty much at gate. For some reason, the built-in XPlane air stairs thing wouldn't let me connect this. For some reason, when I press Shift FG, look, for some reason we can't toggle the jetway. So I don't know if that's because we're too big of a plane, or we should have been on a different stand, or exactly what the deal is there. But in any case, these little bluish sort of things, the stairs, this bus here, and these ones here, are part of the Flight Factor plane. So these are not belonging to the ground handling, which is a separate module again. That is a really, really old style of lorry. Like from the 1420s. Although, that said, the fuel truck itself actually looks super, super modern. The design of the fuel bit. But this looks, you know, it wouldn't look out of place in a 1950s Russian kind of a film. There we go. We got the 2 external power units, 1 and 2, plugged in, and I guess they said left and right. And yeah, I'm not sure if you can make it work just with 1, but certainly for comfort we'll use 2. So let's carry on then. So with that in, let's come up top. Again, there is no need for me to rush this. I want to see what we've got. And so the flow is going to be top to bottom, left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dang, we've got the passenger data, which I assume is the Wi-Fi. By the way, I quite like the way that opens and shuts. Click and drag. And I guess that is the Wi-Fi circuitry. We'll leave it on for now, but we'll certainly turn that off before takeoff. And before we go any further, we've got external power 1 and 2 available. Let's hook that up. 1 and 2. We'll get the bus tie on automatic. Just going to run through the electrical panel first, actually. 1, 2, 1, 2. I mean, some of these just apply to when the engine's on, but again, it's a dark cockpit, so we'll leave it auto. Now we're going to run top to bottom now that we've got power. So we'll get these aligning, 1, 2, 3. And again, the reason you go like that is it's system 1 on the left, which is my side, the captain, system 2, which is your side, the first officer, and then 3, which once upon a time was a flight engineer, but is now the dude that's without a job that's been replaced with a computer. Either way, they've kept the sequencing on the aircraft. You know, some only have 2, but most of them have got 3. And it is 1 on the left, 2 on the right, and then 3. And that's the reason, right? The flight engineers was in the middle, but behind. And so that's... you turn them on in that sort of order as well. I don't think it's absolutely essential that you turn them on in that order, but it's just a thing that's been done since, you know, Moses parted the seas, and so I don't see any reason why not to continue with the same sort of thing. So I'm now just looking for anything that looks like it needs pressing. Can we... Doesn't seem like we can get that one on. Crew supply, we want that. Captain Purser, evac's already set to Purser only, it would seem. Wipers we don't require. Let's work our ways from top to bottom once again. Fire controls, I guess we got a test. Let's have a quick... Sounds good. I'm releasing it, and quite a long test cycle it would seem. There we go. Okay, great. Hydraulics 1, 2 on the pumps, green and yellow on the pumps for engine 2. Fuel looks like they're already on. Let's just verify. And indeed, the fuel switches, for whatever reason, are all on. Usually on aircraft, it's back to front. Usually stuff like the hydraulics and whatnot's already on, and it's the fuel ones that you got to turn on. So for some reason, Flight Factor electing to be a bit backwards there with that regard. Air packs again off. We'll leave all of these on auto, which is probably going to indicate fault until we get the packs booted up, and I will set this from low to norm. We'll get the temperature again somewhere like 10, 11 o'clock, otherwise I find it gets too hot. Cross bleed valve, we'll set that to auto as well. And cabin altitude stuff, clearly this is important, so we'll leave this to auto. And I'm just, can we turn this here, the dial? I'm just going to move it to the 12 o'clock position. I guess auto, it doesn't matter, but regardless. Got a ditching switch there. For those familiar with the Captain Sullyberger, the Miracle on the Hudson thing, you know, it was an Airbus thing, and it was one of the few things he forgot to do was enable the ditching switch when he came into the Hudson. So what that meant was, you know, that certain little bits and bobs like valves, outflow valves for air and so on were open, and that's what caused the plane to sink quicker than it would have otherwise have done. Clearly it didn't really matter because he was on the Hudson, but let's just say he was a little further away from help, and given how cold it was at the time of year and that, it was a key switch really that would have enabled the plane. I don't know exactly what difference it would have made in helping it float a little longer, but certainly yeah, that was about the only real thing that you could have criticised him on, if anything at all. Logo, then we'll get that onto automatic. Usually logos on or off. I'm not sure what the automatic does, but we'll leave it in automatic. Nav lights on. Beacon can wait. All of the others, I guess, can wait until we're ready to start the engines. Standby compass we don't require. We'll get the smoking signs on, and we'll arm the emergency lights. We'll test that in a minute. Let's just work down here for finally. Circuit breakers. All right, so ventilation, I guess. Cooling, cabin fans. Who knows what this one is? Nobody knows, because it's just the... who knows? A completely unmarked switch that is off or not. The ground hydraulics, I guess these are the pumps. They can open and close things. We see those are on automatic. NSS, data to avionics. Cav, data to NSS. No idea what NSS. I'm not familiar with that acronym. Either way, it looks to be something to do with data. I don't know, something satellite service, who knows. That there looks good. Cargo aircon, again, leave it on auto, and yeah, we're not going to be carrying any animals or anything. We'll leave that as is. Set that there. And so what remains is our annunciator tests. Let's have a little look then. Christmas tree, or at least what Christmas tree you can get out of a glass cockpit. I didn't get to finish it. Certainly those lights up there look good. MCP panel looks good. And down there looks good. All right, we'll let that complete. I think I've seen it now. Okay. Notice they've got this little thing here, which looks very much like the one that you see in the tow list, and that's because it is. Must have been some sort of a deal between Flight Factor and tow list. And yeah, for some reason Tolis allowed them, licensed them, whatever it is. That somehow integrates with this system, and I think their system, when it gets a little bit, sometimes not quite 100%, you can basically default back to the Tolis one here, and it does seem to do its trick. Right, power's on. We've worked our way through the flows. Now, for those unfamiliar with this thing, it's got checklists galore. So, instructions. Oh, no. Let's go to normal procedures. And so again, you've got a zillion, nearly, power. And within those, you've got your sub-menus. And so electrical power up. Now, thankfully, the list is somewhat automated. So, aircraft on bat power. I'm just going to click that, and they can see it automatically checks through everything and pauses on things that you need to, unless the switch is in the wrong place. So basically we did all of these without the benefit of the checklist, and it just wants us to confirm that the electrical power's up. Well, we'll confirm that, and with that we've completed it. And basically next, ECAM on, ECAM auto mode, check. And so you can see now there's something that we got to do. ECAM auto, which is this one here, right? So this, I think, is the ECAM display, and I guess engine whatnot. And if we clear on that, that's now auto. So yeah, check. Now purple, does that mean it's not happy? Oh, it wants NSS. We've done that. The gate link, cab fans, that's all stuff on the roof. So yeah, whether that's happy with or not. APU master switch. Well, before we do that, yeah, that's the one we want on. Let's take a look at getting our loadouts sorted now. So we'll come over to the, I guess, plane packs, page 3. What we got? 141. It's interesting. You can't just put 141. You've actually got to sit them where you want to sit them. First class. Well, let's put 11 there. That takes care of that. That leaves 130. We'll put 25 there, and that leaves 105, which we'll dump back in eco. There we go. That should be the 141. 8.2 on the cargo, and I believe we're operating in pounds, and I bet you this thing's in kilos. Urgh. It isn't all. It's in kilos. How frustrating. How frustrating indeed. Well, you know what? And just, it's the cargo, it doesn't really matter too much, right? Let's see here. So you can actually put a weight in anyway. It's just a case of how many pieces of cargo do you want. So if we put one in, and by the way, I have slammed the tail of this into the ground before when the weight's not balanced right on loading, you know. So when you're loading the plane, be careful. Be careful. So, you know, here, for example, we've got the weight in the front, to the right is in the back. You wouldn't want to put this same thing in the back. Bearing in mind, look at all the passengers we've got in the back versus the front. In fact, just to be safe, I'm going to put 16 in first, and I'm going to take the 5 from the back. Let's see if we can put 35 in biz, and so we'll take another 10 from back. Now, how are we doing here with regards to cargo? How much is one of these? I'm going to have to look down here. Let's add one here. 3.9. 3.9, if you double it, is about, you know, it's about-ish. I know it's not exactly, but it's close enough. That's too far over. What if I put 2 there? 5.4. If I put 3 there, 6.9. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put 2 there. That's going to do it for me. And I think if I implement that with the passengers and the cargo will do. So let's hit it. And a slight sound of people. Right, fuel. So it's one of these where sure you can try and get the fuel to match what's in the plan, or you can do it this way round where you get your kilos for destination, alternate contingency, which is all listed anyway on page 1. Again, we've got pounds instead of kilos. I think I'm just going to uprate it. Again, this aircraft is designed for super long range flight. And this is basically no fuel. Even if this was kilos, this is basically none. And you know what? I'm just going to roll with it regardless. So, destination, I'm just going to I'm going to give it like 2/3. So let's go 4,000. By the way, I'm suggesting in real life you redo the flight plan for kilos. The problem for me is that would take time. And even though it wouldn't take long, I don't want to waste it. The alternate here, so that's going to be this one here. So again, 2/3 of that. I'm just being real quick here. Let's go 3.5. Contingency is basically 15 minutes at full power. It's saying 1.5, so I'm going to go 1, 1, 1, 1. There we go. APU time, well, that is not counted, but let's give ourselves up to 30 minutes. Taxi time, I'm going to give myself 30 also, and then to remain, and that's going to be your FinRes. So, again, we want £2,400. Did I even select the A350? No, it's A320. Oh my goodness, I selected a different type of plane, but never mind. So, yeah, it teaches me for not checking things over. So I'm just going to up these even more. Certainly not that much. As long as we've got enough, it'll be fine. And then to remain, let's put another 2.5 in there. That'll do. So I'm going to implement this. Now, it reckons we could fly about 2,000 kilometers. Look at that. Just 7% of fuel in the wings. Nothing center. So, yeah, when we're talking long range, this is the aircraft that you see some of these ridiculous, it did a 16-hour flight non-stop. That's this. So let's implement that, and that's the fuel going in. Passengers are going in, if not there already. Great. So even though the numbers are off for the weights, again, we were just really getting it for the route. The route is important, so we're shooting out of runway 10 here from St. Martin, which, if I release camera real quick, is probably always going to be this one, and indeed it is. Of course, this here, the famous beach where you see people standing when these things... By the way, just got default scenery, so nothing special here. Yeah, so this here, a very limited piece of beach. There's defense, of course, in real life. They've got these blast signs here warning everybody that, you know, the plane's coming round. And of course, you get people stood there all the time that get blown over. And I guess as well, having that sand blown at you is a bit like getting sandblasted potentially. So either way, runway 10 it is. So we know that's going to be good. So let's see then how we can start setting these things up. Yeah, we got the fuels. So we'll get the APU master on. And I'm going to skip the rest of the checklist just for now. Again, it's a bit excessive. You know, certainly if you're trying to do things properly, you can see each one of these sub-menus has got like, you know, there's so many checklists to do that, you know, and of course if you do them, you're not going to forget anything, but I do want to be able to take off today, so I'm going to carry on going. So this here is basically our FMC McDo kind of thing in cahoots with this down here. I'm going to set this one to plan. We'll push the range out a tad. And in its page, here we go. Flight number. And I just kind of rolled with it. So let's go 515. from, and when you click and you see it highlighting like that, you can literally use your keyboard, which is nice. Of course, you could also click on here, which would be the longer way to do it. 2, Mike Delta Papa Charlie. Alternate is, and that's usually at the top, Mike Tango Papa Papa, I think. Mike Tango Papa Papa. Okay. Click again, you know, to sort of lock it in. Company route, I think potentially you can load that. I can't remember. So let's... Oh, you can. Okay, great. Let's see if we can load our route in then. So you click on it. I like this. You get the full full list. Usually you have to type in the file name and just... Again, it's airport from 2 with the 01 at the end, but usually you don't get to see them, so that's nice. So let's see. TNCM and... oh, they've even got a filter. Let's try it. TNCM. Well, it's working. TNCM to Mike Delta Papa Mike Delta Papa Charlie. Where are we? Mike Delta Papa Charlie 01. Indeed it is. So let's apply. Great. Hopefully that's loaded in the route. We'll see in a minute. But in fact, we'll see now. There we can see there's Gouda. And indeed, here we see Gouda. So it has its the route. Great. Well, nice to see that working. Cruise, yeah. So some of these key ones we need to fill in. So page 1. We're going to be cruising at 36. Makes sense. We're going west. FL, so I guess that will interpret correctly, and it will. Flight level. Cost index 12. May bump it, we'll see. Cruise temp, it's basically... I think that's basically the default. Minus 56, up at 36. Let's see if that is what it is, or they've just generalized. Usually SimBrief does let you... give you it for the topper climb, and there it is. So it reckons minus 49, and it's actually at 53,800, so it is off. So let's see if we can put that in. Minus 49, it's letting us have that, and the tropo is 538. Does it let us have that? And it does, and so at least you can put that in. Trip wind. Company, no, winds. Here we go. Climb, company request. Oh, I hit it. Oh, go on, load. Oh, is it going to crash? Oh, guys, I wanted you to see it real time, and there you see it. For goodness sake, don't get a data link in on the winds. Flight Factor, sort your shit out, man. This thing's been out for ages, 2 years, and it crashes when you ask data link for winds. So, yeah, unfortunately, bit of a showstopper. I could delete the video. I will put a note on that. You know, caution. The game does crash before we get to take off, because you know people should be known. But I also want people to see what is working and to what standard. And unfortunately, you know, grabbing the data link on the winds, it not just isn't working, but causes a complete crash to desktop. And by the way, I've not even got an XPlane has crashed message. And so it really did cause the game to crash. Good, hard, and proper. And I'd like to say I hope you enjoyed that, but I kind of feel on a bit of a somber note there that, you know, I almost feel like I've wasted your time as well as my own there. But, you know, for those who haven't bought the A350 from Flight Factor, I hope I've put you off buying it until they sort it out, because that is, when I make these kind of videos showing some of these things, that's what I want. You know, if something's really good and it comes across as good and it works well, great. But if it doesn't, well, then it sucks. I'm never going to sell out and become somebody that just takes a backhander and pretends to review something and says it's amazing. Of course, the people that do pretend to review things will always never do it live, because they can't risk like that the thing going wrong. They're always going to edit it ahead of time and then present this very shiny final product where they, you know, if the game had crashed, they're not going to tell you. They're just going to edit out, load it up again and continue as they were. All right, until next time, take care. Bye-bye.